Basically, I've gone through everything in macroeconomics yesterday. I'm just gonna quickly go through some important knowledge that I thought is helpful for you. And yeah, I was personally very confused, but I'm not confused anymore. So okay, let's start. So as you can see, shifters of aggregate demand. Basically, if you lower the net export in some ways, for instance, you just sell other country less like goods, or when your currency appreciates, people will buy less export, but like buy less things from your country, which will lower the net export, and then this will shift the AD to decrease it because AD equals real GDP, which equals consumption plus investment plus net export plus government spending. Also, if you purchase a lot of bonds, like I think purchasing of bonds is a open market operation of the central bank. Um, so when you purchase a lot of bonds, you give out a lot of money to the society. Like if a government or let's say central bank purchases a lot of bond from these people, it's basically giving out bonds, or like no, it's just giving out like money to all of these people. How can I say it? Like, how can I make this like sound easy? Okay, if you were to buy something from someone, you need to give them something, right? You give them money. Okay, so I buy a bond from, so if the government buys a bond from a bank, it will give the bank money, and in return they will have a bond, and this bond tells those banks to give the money back. However, in the short run, that money that banks earn from the bond that the government has paid, it will increase the overall money supply, which will decrease interest rate, and then this will in turn increase the spending in the society in general, like consumer spending or investment spending. So yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, that will really shift the AD to increase it. It will shift it to the right. And okay, what is this? Okay, fiscal policy involves government spending and taxation. If you increase in government spending, the aggregate demand will increase because let's say if you have transfer payments to people, like let's say unemployment transactions or something like that, it will increase consumption. And if you government spend on let's say like on factories, there will be more investment in factories. Actually, no, government spending is a key, like an essential part of aggregate demand, because aggregate demand equals real GDP equals government spending plus consumption plus investment plus net export. So yeah, this will increase aggregate demand. However, taxation will lowering in taxation will also increase in aggregate demand because people need to pay less taxes. They can consume more or invest more. And by the way, the investment in GDP, always remember, it's not personal investment. Personal investment is not a part of the economy. It's not having any output. It's not generating any output. The investment means companies like investing in their business by purchasing more factors of production. All right. So a monetary policy is when you decrease the reserve requirement, decrease the discount rate, or when you buy bonds or like any kind of open market operations. You gotta know the logic. When you increase money supply, the real interest rate will decrease because the banks want to get rid of the money. Okay, and sometimes when government spending goes up, the money supply will decrease um, because of crowding out, basically. So for instance, if the government, let's say, mm, pay a lot of transfer payments. So in order to pay a lot of transfer payments, they need to sell bonds, which they will get money from banks. And then when they get money from banks, there's less money available in the market. So that's why money supply will go down, and interest rate will go up because of that. Money supplies decrease. Okay, so when governments buy bonds, yeah, they give banks money. So yeah, you got to remember that. And money supply goes up, real interest rate goes down. A recessionary gap is when the GDP is below the potential. If you have a business graph, the dotted lines, like the dotted linear line, is potential, and GDP is the waves. All right. So okay. Let me move the camera a bit. So in high employment, let's see. Yeah, this is better. Um, when there is high unemployment, yeah, recessionary gap means when there is high unemployment, the economy is not producing at its like maximum possible production curve. All right, and there's also liquidity trap because when there's recession, people are less willing to spend money, and this might stop the economy and lead to stagflation, and um, the supply will shift to the left, which will increase. But also it might also result in deflation because people are less willing to spend. And then um, short run aggregate supply will flatten out in a recession. Um, this is because people are just very less willing to spend, and the supply um, also goes down in return, since they cannot really just sell everything. So even though if they're flat, people can't buy anything. So there's no trade off in scarcity. That was an interesting problem that I did. And also, you just want to remember the capital and financial account plus current account equals zero. That this is like foreign exchange and stuff. And then you want to remember the money formula or money flow formula, which is money supply times velocity of money equals, it's right here, equals the price level times real GDP. P times Y, the price level times real GDP equals nominal GDP. Remember that too. And when the economy is in ample reserve, which means there's a lot of like money is kept in banks, um, open market, all the operations, monetary policies won't work. Um, only interest on reserves will work, or discount rate. The discount rate, it's actually just interest on reserves is the bottom one. If you remember, look at the graphs of the reserve market or something like that. Interest on reserve is the lower bottom one. So if you increase the interest on reserves, banks will still put the money in the reserves. If you decrease the interest on reserves, however, banks will actually just pull the money out and then spend it in the economy. So yeah, you gotta figure out the increase in money supply and stuff. Okay, when the economy is at full employment, cyclical employment, unemployment equals zero. The natural rate of unemployment includes cyclical. Let's just say, oh, sorry. Does natural rate of unemployment. There is no cyclical unemployment. Okay, shoot. Okay, natural rate of unemployment does not include cyclical unemployment. However, they include frictional and structural unemployment. However, full employment means that cyclical employment equals zero. Okay, so the interest rate is the price of money. The higher your interest rate, the harder you could get the money. This appears in loanable funds market. You gotta figure that one out. Okay, and then some government securities basically just means bonds, bills, and notes, and they work the same. They kind of work the same, but in reality, like the time requirement for each of them is different. That's it. Okay, for unit 5, this was the unit I was most confused on, and I had to review. So long run, in order to achieve long run growth, the government can buy bonds from other banks. When the government buys bonds or the central bank buys bonds, there will be more money supply. Interest rate will go down, investment will increase, and then aggregate demand will increase. And then also when government spending goes down, aggregate demand goes down. So this will lead to long-run growth because this is contractionary, and this one over here is expansionary. I know this and this might be confusing, but when the government spending goes down, there will be less consumption. When there is less consumption, there will be no inflation. When there's no inflation, yeah, the government will get back a little, because when you are buying bonds, you're giving out to the society a lot of money. But when you give out bonds, companies can use that bond to invest in their business, and it will promote long run growth. So yeah, and more money, lower interest. Yeah. So this was the thing that I was saying. This was the logic. So when you increase in government spending, um, this is a direct element of the GDP. So aggregate demand should increase, and there is a multiplier effect also that accounts for this because when there are more jobs, when the government spends more, like for instance, if a government wants to build a road, there will be more jobs and consumption will increase because of more income, and then this will also lead to aggregate demand increase. However, be careful of this, all right? When there is more government spending, if there is deficit spending, deficit spending, all right? If there is deficit spending, the it will need to borrow money from the money market, and then the money supply will decrease. So yeah, economics is really fun. It's just, bro, it's just too indeterminate, and it's so confusing, and it's like annoying. I want to smash my computer at any time, but okay. So, this is a really good thing I learned from Jacob Clifford. I think his name is Mr. Clifford. Yes. Nominal GDP. So like, if you cover nominal GDP, um, if you want to calculate nominal GDP, you multiply real GDP by GDP deflator. Yeah. If you want to calculate real GDP, you divide nominal GDP by GDP deflator. If you want to calculate GDP deflator, you divide nominal GDP by real GDP. That's it. So yeah, remember that. And then why is this here? Sorry, this is yeah, this is not related. But okay, let's see. These are just scratch. Okay, when GDP income approach. So GDP income approach is like income plus sales taxes plus depreciation plus net foreign exchange market, net foreign exchange factor income. So this is just another way to approach the C plus I plus G plus X, and you just know that sometimes this will appear on the multiple choice sections. Like it will ask you, oh, if the income increases, what will happen to the real GDP? You'll just say oh, income increase, GDP will increase too. All right, so this is more just logic. When government spending goes up, and if there's no like investment, if it uses like money from the banks, like deficit spending, money supply will go down, interest rate goes up, and then investment goes down, which is bad, and this will lower the growth, and then ADO will get down. Okay, if government spending is transfer payment, yeah, although government spending goes up, the investment goes down because you're giving out more money to individuals by borrowing money, and yeah, but you get the idea. When investment goes down, it's more harmful than government spending goes up. But yeah, you just want to play with that in your multiple choice sections and user economics knowledge. All right, so the factor market is when household sells to what is this? Serve? Oh yeah, when households sell service. So for instance, if I sell my service of working in a company, I'm just selling myself in a factor market. Yeah. Okay, so appreciation means your export will decrease because your goods are more expensive in your goods compared to other like currencies, and your import will increase because your money can go farther and you have more purchasing power compared to other currencies. And when you depreciate, when your currency depreciate, your import or export will increase because people will want to buy your stuff, and import will decrease because other people's stuff is very expensive to you. And yeah, that's it. Good luck. I'm gonna post this video right now so you can review, and yeah, I'll see you after the exam. And if you're doing it next year, it will be better. All right, I'll see you.